So this is a technique that I think I distilled from this project. So this technique is called Frida Kahlo Desert Garden No Diego. And where I got this from is I've been helping Carly, and Key's been helping to find the new dig-in coordinator. We interviewed this one girl who maybe doesn't have the most experience, but we thought was like really confident and like really knew what she wanted. And at the end of all these questions we were giving her, the last question we gave her was, if you could, like throughout time, like it can be fictional characters, it can be anything, who would you build a garden with and where would you build it? And like immediately this girl was like, oh, I would do it with Frida Kahlo in the desert, but Diego can't come. And that just gave us like this immediately, all of us who were there were like, that's perfect. Like we have such a visceral image of what this girl wants. And it really helped to round out her interview. And I've been trying to think of why this was such an effective strategy for us. It was partially this strategy of 2 yeses and 1 no. 2 things you do like, and then 1 thing you don't want. And that she was honest, she was confident about this. I think that part of what we've learned here is that the things that you want are really important, but so are acknowledging the things that you don't want. But that maybe it's most important to focus on the things you do want, while a smaller portion, like 2/3 to 1/3 of acknowledging what you don't want. So like examples of this, I was trying to see how this strategy might work for certain jobs. And so one of my ideas is like, okay, so like I want to play piano, mostly jazz, not in a bar. Or I want to be a librarian in a big city, but not for children. And I think the way this strategy works is that you focus on the things you do want the most, but you distill it too, you distill it in a way that's really honest and that is confident. And when you can tell, it's sort of like when we made the buttons for our dream jobs, and then some of us had to explain what our dream jobs were. I think when you can distill something really smartly and really effectively, it draws people to you. People want to hear more about it. And when you can do that in sort of a confident and honest manner, I think that I'm going to try to use this strategy moving forward of 2 yeses and a no of Frida Kahlo, Desert Garden, No Diego. And I will tell you how it works out, but I think it could work.
That's great. Thanks, Mari.
This had been an idea that I'd had for a while, but I do think it sort of sprouted per se in Dream Job Academy, but this idea of being a maker-brarian. And I didn't realize that that's what it was until I kind of like made the button, I guess. But through like thinking about that idea and sort of exploring things outside of this like career that I've started, I just allowed myself time to devote to things that had nothing to do with school. I don't consider myself an artist or anything, but I started like collaging a lot more. It's just a really good way for me to cultivate these other areas of my life that are outside of grad school. And that said, within the span of like Dream Job Academy, I actually ended up getting sort of one of my dream jobs at a museum consultancy firm, which is really cool. I have created a proposal for a clothing library in Toronto, and I presented it yesterday to the Institute for a Resource-Based Economy, and they're very interested and they're meeting with me again on Sunday. So that might be my dream job. So go dream job. Yay!
Okay, so something I love doing is making lists. I make tons of lists, school, career, work, to buy. Lots of lists. But something I end up doing is not really doing anything after I make the list. So I make the list and I think it's done. Now I move on to my next list. So with this academy, I started going through my list. Well, that was kind of my resolution for this year as well. And I started like ticking some boxes. A couple of things happened in the past couple of years that, well, really made me question applying to things because I keep facing rejection and blah, blah, blah. So now I started applying to more things and like being more involved in more things. So I got an interview at my college's new magazine called The Underground for the arts editor position, and yeah, the interview went well. I hear about it next week, so we'll see what happens. So yeah.
So I want to talk about how doing this program I realized that I know more about myself than I thought, but also that I don't know as much as I thought. Like I always didn't like talking about myself, like the deeper parts or whatnot. Like in elementary school when you have to write autobiographies, like, oh, I always told everyone I don't like autobiographies. Like, what's your favorite subject? I don't know. They're all nice. Or like, and I'm also very indecisive, so like, sort of came together into answering like, oh, I like all of them, and. For example, and also when I like came to university, I would be like, oh, I'm studying life science. I'd be like, oh, you're gonna be a doctor, and I'm like, no, I don't think so. But like, yeah, and I just like went to saying, oh yeah, I'm considering medical school just because that's what everyone would ask. But doing the Dream Job Academy, I realized that it's okay to just not know everything about yourself, but also it helped me just explore myself more and talk about stuff that I wouldn't think to myself before. And I also want to talk about how I enjoyed this group of people and how everyone's really open and friendly, and it's nice to hear everyone's different perspectives on everything.
It's really about, for me, transcending that, you know? It's transcendence. Using your environment as sort of this thing you want to transcend, using your career path is not something separate, but an extension of yourself. It was so important for whatever I do, whatever career I do, I don't care what it is. I know I want to help my community, but it has to come from a place of love. And it has to come from a place of an extension of my self-love, you know what I mean? So whether it's, you know, working at, you know, on a project, doing something at Heart House, you know, it's all about that. You know, I want to have a family. I don't want to have like a bunch of cronies who are sort of in it for themselves, kind of like what we were talking about networking, you know what I mean? And that's what it is. It's just a group of people who are supporting each other, a group of people who are trying to promote that self-love in other people. And I think that's the real, for me, I could die, I'm being dramatic, but I could die really, 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 really happy knowing that I was in an environment and I did a career and I did something that was promoting self-love in other people. And if there's anything I think I'm going to take, and I hope one thing we all take from this, is really, really that promoting self-love in yourself and promoting self-love in other people, because it's really the same thing at the end of the day. Yeah.
So first, my most memorable experience is, you know, with all the guest speakers, with all the activities, it was actually a discussion we had with Carly. The things that when she was talking about her being an magitator, is that magitator?
Yeah.
Okay. It really just opened my mind up to career possibilities and really looking into my interests instead of finding one career path and sticking to it, and that's going to be my life, sort of a thing. So if you recall, Carly was talking about how she designed her own job description, or she would just start talking about this skill set that she had. It's just like, I'm an agitator, I do this and this and this, I'm really good at this and this and this. And that confidence and that initiative to put herself out there in such a positive way, but not a prideful or cocky way, but just being proud of herself and her accomplishments and her skill sets, made her so attractive to certain jobs and certain industries that people wanted her to be part of something. And for me, that's really important because I don't know exactly what I want to do, but I know what I like to do. And I know what skills and what work environments that I like to be in. And so that, for me, opened a whole plethora of different pathways that I could go on that I don't have to decide right now, but I can decide to take one path and then potentially go to another path, which may lead to another path, and that's okay. That's cool. I can be confident with myself. I can be confident with what I'm good at, and I can kind of pursue it from there. I also like how, talking about these different pathways, but how she invested so much time and energy to invest in all of her different interests. So she talked about being, I don't remember them off the bat, but the impression was made that, you don't have to speed through life. You don't have to graduate in 4 years and then jet right into the workforce with the career that you're going to stick with for your entire life. We have time to learn and to enjoy life and to explore and to really find our dream job, whatever that may be. So I really appreciated those two things, and that's what I took most out of this experience. And I wrote my own job description for a job at Hart House for the summer. Now it's either going to be a work study or internship. That's still in the works right now, and I'll still have to apply and go through the application process. But basically, I am taking my own experience at Hart House, working with the jazz choir, and working with the promotions team in Hart House, and finding both a need that Hart House has and a solution, which is me, to fix that problem that they're having. And so the job description was accepted, and we just have to see what happens with what happens.
I have this one point, and I think I've struggled with this thing I have for like a really long time. It's the fear of failure. That's my biggest problem. Whenever, before even doing an assignment, I would like overthink about, oh my god, this is like, I won't be able to do it. It's just my absolute mindset that I'll get a bad mark, what's the point of even trying hard, blah, blah, blah. The fear of failure was so big that I think it really pushed me down. Your fear of failure is actually your love of being right. And we need to stop feeling like we always owe to be right and to be perfect. That totally blew up my mind, and part of it was from the workshop, because that woman who was a neuroscientist but also a fashion designer, she like really pushed me to like think about it, because she said that she went to 50 stores with her t-shirt and she was trying to get accepted, and she wasn't discouraged by it. She was okay with it. She still went to all those stores, and then she had to go to all these people to ask for money, and she wasn't even sure, but she still it's like, I don't know, it's grit or something. It's just something so like amazing. I felt like I don't have that. I always fear that I will not, like I will be rejected by them, or it will not be good enough, and I just don't do it. And I said that I don't need to be perfect. Why do I think I need to? And I think that's my biggest thing which I learned here, that you need to be confident and kind of not fear so much and just do what you gotta do.
I was nervous about doing this workshop because it was like a career sort of workshop, and I was like, I'm kind of tired of telling people when they ask, like, so what are you going to do? You're graduating this year. What's your plan? You've taken 5 years. You must have a plan. Like, no, I don't really, but I've always been so consumed with trying to give an answer that people appreciate or that they're like comfortable with.
I have never had the idea that I was going to go from high school to university to a job, like ever, and that's also something that like my family has never expected that. And I've almost gotten like into a frame of mind where I sort of judge the people who are asking me like, what's your plan? I'm like, that's a very narrow-minded way of looking at the world.
Now when people ask, they're like, oh, so what are you going to do? You're graduating, like you're done classes. What are you, I'm like, I don't know. I'll see. Maybe a job posting will come up and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I'm going to apply for that. And not being worried about not getting it because, something else will come along. And just being comfortable where I am right now. I'm so young and I have all this time. That's my revelation.
Growing up, my philosophy of like a future career, which I had no idea what I wanted to do, still don't. But it was sort of like I was really obsessed with Goethe when I was a weird kid. But he had one quote that it's not doing the thing we love to do, but loving the thing we have to do that makes life sacred. And I still, to a certain, I see where he's coming from, but maybe career advice is not something we should go to Goethe for. You do have to love what you do. I mean, you also have to find a way to find meaning even in the work that you don't love doing. This program has definitely helped me latch more onto that and deepen my understanding of where to draw the line.
After the first Dream Job Academy session,
I immediately sent a Facebook message to a woman who I'd worked with a while back, and she was the administrative director of the choir that I used to sing with. And I emailed her and I said, hey, like, long time no talk, love to catch up, get coffee, because this is, like, what you did with that choir is something that I would think I would be interested in doing in the future. And she gave me all of this advice about how I could go forward if I wanted to, like, be in that position in the future. What I found over the course of doing that is that I was not looking forward to the road, that particular path of how to get to the position that I want to be in. After that, I was really dejected and like thought that I was not going to be able to figure out how to make it work. I think that I would want to be working with a team. I would want to feel like my work is affecting people, and I really, really value stability in a job, which has been something that I have struggled with, and like the concept of the volunteer, working my way up through the artistic channels, like that was what I found really daunting. And when I realized that I wanted that out of a job, then this project really helped me realize that that's okay.
But I read this essay that someone had written about how important it is for to be able to live with uncertainty. It was about artists and how that's a huge challenge for artists, like even when they're starting a project, to be able to not know what they're doing and still push through it and not let fear get in the way. There's always like uncertainty in life, and it's really hard to deal with that. I think for me, since I don't know what I want to do, that it's really important to try and learn how to live with that until somehow I can follow things that I love until it brings me to some opportunity, which I really appreciate, and hopefully that's like a career path. If you just kind of follow the paths that you like and take the opportunities you want, even if you don't have some grand goal, like hopefully it will lead to something that you really appreciate. I thought about the activity and also the speaker, which I like best, and I noticed that they had something in common, which I think is kind of a theme of these workshops that like I really appreciated. So the activity I liked best was when you told us to write down 3 things we were grateful for every night. Like I really appreciated that, and it like had the most kind of profound effect out of all the activities we did on me. And also the speaker I really liked was the lady, I forget her name, but she's the one who did the self-marriage workshops.
Didn't it?
Yeah, and I think it was really cool that people don't even acknowledge a lot that you have to work on loving yourself and like trying to make yourself happy. Like, people don't talk about that, like it's a valuable goal or something like that. So I thought that was really cool. Also, something about this group that I really liked, everyone's like so open and kind, and that's not really an environment you come across like very often. I think it's so cool to be around people who are like genuinely like friendly and stuff, and like they try to be, and that was fun.